system like this is we can add new things quickly. And so if you look in the last year, there's been two areas that have become very interesting in terms of the conversation. One is Surface. Surface is a new hardware software innovation area. It's a very large flat desktop surface that runs a version of Windows OS with cameras on the back. So I can use two-handed touch on it. It can sense devices or fingerprints on top. You can lay things on top of it. It will recognize them and do things accordingly. A very unique new hardware-software combination. On the other end of the spectrum is the netbooks and nettops conversation. We heard some about that earlier from Sean. You'll see a lot of them in the booth. Very talked about category, lots of interest. And this is an area that we focused on. We've gotten a lot of feedback from our partners, from our customers. They're very interested in seeing these devices with Windows on them. Typically, they're used for email or web browsing as a potentially a first device or as an nth device in the home. It's new enough in the category time frame that it's not completely clear yet how these will land. We'll have to all collectively put them out there and see in terms of where they get used, what's the feedback we get, how do they evolve. Today, they're using some of the new chipsets from Intel that we heard about earlier on and that are pretty exciting to learn more about. They have smaller screens typically. Some of these are with flash now, or limited on storage and memory. They're meant for lower price points. So it's an exciting category. We've had standalone internet devices come out before. Not too many of them have succeeded. But I think in this case, we're getting towards the right price points in the hardware and the software and the ecosystem that these things have a very good chance. Now, how they'll land and who will buy them exactly, we will all wait and see. But the good news is I think we're, again, working together as an industry to make these available. On our side, we've gotten very clear feedback that people would like these devices to run Windows. So we've done work with both Windows XP and Vista to make Windows available for the netbook category. We did that a couple of months ago. At the show, and today we're happy to announce the extension of Windows offerings for both not just netbooks, but nettops as well. Based on feedback we've gotten from our partners, we've gotten a lot of feedback from the local community. ASUS has worked closely with us to give us input on the net top category specifically, as well as having Windows Live Works in Office available for these devices. And I'll show you a few of them later on. But this is an area where we've gotten the feedback. We've made the operating system available both in terms of the footprint for these devices and the price point for these devices, as well as the availability to ensure that there is a Windows offering so that it can work within the community of devices that we talked about earlier. Oops, went the wrong way there. So with that, I'm going to take a second and actually show you one of the netbooks. I have one of the ASUS devices, the EPC series right here. Hopefully you can see this moment here, bring it up the screen now. This is one of the devices running XP. The beauty of it is it looks like an XP machine. I think the intent here and the feedback we got is that people want something they're familiar with. And of course, if this was a first device in a home, I wouldn't have all these other machines around. I could still use it to participate in the discussion we had. Here is the site. Here's Ryan's Spaces site that he posted the photo to earlier. And this is the site that he uses to store his information. And so you can see here's the photo that he had of his child on it. So I can go out and browse the web from within this device. I can do all of my standard browsing. It supports Silverlight or Flash or whatever else you want. So as a web browsing device, as an email device, it's fine. It's great. It works very well. The interesting thing is if I wanted this device to participate in the broader community, it can do that. Because it's a Windows device, I can go up to this home server, right? So this is the home server that's running here. And if I go into the Computex folder, I can see the shot that Ryan took earlier when we were doing the demo earlier on. And so now I have access not just to the internet, but I have access to my home network. I have access to this home server. And it works seamlessly. It works like any other device in the home. If I take this photo and I drag it over to this printer, drop it on there, it will print. It'll take a little while, it's never slow. So now what it's doing is it's accessing the printer, which is a wireless printer connected to the Vista machine in the home. And I've gone ahead and taken a picture from the home server. So now I have this device, this netbook, that can work very well as a standalone device, but it can also participate in the broader community we've collectively built around the Windows ecosystem. So whether it's the digital picture frame, or the printer, or the home server, or the Vista machine, or think about it in the education, if it's part of the school system, or the government, or I'm using one at home or at work, all the pieces work together. And that's one of the beauties and one of the reasons that I think we've gotten so many requests to ensure that Windows is available for both this type of device as well as the NetTop, which is the standalone device. So, I'm going to leave this one here, and I'll come back and show you a couple more of these. So let's go ahead and switch back to slides. Now, why Windows? Why do we get so many requests for Windows in this area? And why are we committed to this area to make sure that it's successful? The truth of the matter is people want to use a machine, especially in this environment, that's trusted, it's familiar, and it's compatible. Trusted means I know who built it, that if I have a problem, I know I can pick up the phone and call somebody. So if you're building a device as a manufacturer, you want to know that there's someone on the other end that will help support that device and that operating system if customers have a question, customers want to do something. So just the brand reputation and the fact that there's a company behind it who's going to help out is very important to end users when they're going to purchase devices, including netbooks and nettops. Having it be familiar, having it boot up and look like Windows so people know how to use it. So if they've been at work and they come home, they can know how to use it right away. So if you're an adult and you purchase one for your children, you can help them because it looks and feels like the Windows devices you've been working on. One of the big pieces of feedback we get when we build new versions of Windows or Office is not to change the user, our picture printed, took a little while, but it's there. Not to change the user experience too dramatically because that familiarity is so important. And last, compatibility. The fact that I can take an off-the-shelf Asus netbook and hook it into my home network and have it work against the printer, against the home server, against the cameras, against so many devices that are out there today, that's what's critical. That's what's important. And so, again, we've talked to retailers, we've talked to our partners, we've taken the feedback, we've made a version available now of Windows for the netbook NetTop category. We're very supportive of the category. And I did want to highlight that it's not just sort of Microsoft, and not just our partners we're hearing from, but the community at large. And if you look at the quotes from folks like IDC, consumers are comfortable with Windows in general, and XP in particular, so the continued use of a familiar operating system will help the acceptance of this new product category. So again, helping this category take off. Here's one from a distributor and retailer. Retail overwhelmingly prefer to sell the EEPC running the Windows operating system that their customers are familiar with and are requesting from them.